Hello, hello, hello. I'm back again. This time I'll complete what I started. This is Aurelia Davis, the educator's educator, coming to you on a Thursday afternoon. Just hope everybody is doing well we're coming through the month of March. March is almost over, but March has a special place in my heart. Has a special place in my heart because it's the time when I remember my mom's birthday. My mom, Rosie Lee Jones. And it's interesting because she said she wasn't Rose Lee, it's Rosie Lee Warren Jones. Was born March 13th, 1927. And we lost her the fall of 2013, 2013 at the age of 86. But she was a dynamo. She was a dynamo during the time she was on this earth. Um, Let me just tell you a little bit about her. Well, first of all, I want to show you a picture of her. I love this picture right here because it really shows her. I could put it in front of me. I'm just trying to keep the glare from being off. But this is when she was a young girl, and she was jazzy then. She was jazzy then, and then when she got older, this is who we grew up with, and she was still jazzy. She was still jazzy. Um, my mom was so special for the simple reason that she was given the opportunity to raise five girls. I'll say that again. She was given the opportunity to raise five girls. It was five of us. My older sister, Grace Van Ness, my name, Aurelia Ophelia. I have a sister, Aline Savannah, and then we lost my next to the youngest sister, Laverne, and then the baby girl, Jacqueline Denise. And when she found out she had these five girls, she decided to go back to school to become a beautician so that she could do our hair. And during that time, I mean, we every Easter we had curls and bangs, curls and bangs. The Jones girls went to church with curls and bangs, and it was just so interesting because she became a beautician, but my father had the was a barber, was a barber, so the skill of doing hair just ran in our family. But I considered my mom to be very classy. She grew up in the church. She attended a lot of conferences. She did a lot of speaking engagements. She was very very articulate in what she wanted to say and how she wanted to say things. Um, she was one of the first group of women to be recruited as teacher aides in the Chicago public school system. I'll say that again. She was one of the first group of women that was recruited to be teacher aides or teacher assistants in the Chicago public school system. And during that time, you can just tell that these women who lived in the neighborhoods where their children went to school would have a part of the education of their children. In other words, they managed the building. They managed the building. The teachers just welcomed them because they came in, and those children that they would see in the neighborhood, they went into the building and just ruled. And you didn't have a whole lot of the issues that you're having now within schools because the parents were fully invested in the children's education. Like I said before, she did have five girls. Five girls. It was five girls. And she grew up. She was the oldest of five children. She was the oldest of five children. Her mother, unfortunately, died when her baby sister was about, I think, 2 or 3 years old. And my mother always kept a picture of my grandmother around so that we would know who she was. My mother was always also very, very adamant about telling us our history, my grandfather and where he was born, and then she did stay in touch with all of her cousins and aunts and uncles and everybody. So this was a woman that was on the move. She was on the move. She never ever gave up on learning. She never ever gave up on learning. She always was taking a class. Uh, like I said before, she went to school to become a beautician. But after a while, she then turned around and after having she was a high school graduate. But after that, then she did go back to school to get an AA degree from a junior college in early childhood education and child development. So she was always setting the example as to what she wanted her daughters to do. And the examples paid off. The examples paid off. I became a teacher, and then I have another sister that's a social worker, and then my baby sister became a pharmacist. So, and then from there, uh, we generated we generated things that basically we wanted our children to do. And so the educational, what do I call it, educational bug, I'm gonna call it the educational bug, just filtered on down so that her daughters were college graduates, and then her grandchildren were college graduates, and now that her great grandchildren have become college graduates. So all it does, all it I said that to say this, that it doesn't take a whole lot. It basically takes somebody, one person in the family that's very dedicated to who they want you to be and how they want you to be. And if they put that information out in front so that you'll see you have a future, you would be surprised how significant it becomes in your lives, how significant it becomes in your lives. She was very adamant about us completing high school and finishing school. And her choice was, I think she told me, I said, well, Mom, what do I do after I finish high school? She said, either you get a job or you keep on going to school. You get a job or you keep on going to school. And what made it so interesting is that I decided I wanted to keep on going to school. Like I've said many times, I always had the ambition to own a daycare center. So I did attend college and went straight through. She was able to attend my college graduation and just was so very proud. And then I went to her college graduation when she graduated from junior college. My mom believed in family. She believed in family. She believed in us helping each other. And so, as we were growing up, if there was an issue with a sibling or a niece or nephew or whatever like that, she would always say, "Let's come together and let's work on this together." And that's what we did. Well, first of all, you didn't have a choice. You didn't have a choice. She said it, you did it. No matter how old you were, she said it and you did it. And that's what ended up happening. She ran her house, I would say not with an iron fist, but she had that type of voice that when you heard her, you knew that voice meant authority. You know, that her voice showed authority, and it was never any second guessing, never any second guessing about what she meant and what she said. And she said it, she meant it, and that's it. And it was a done deal. It was a done deal. She was respected throughout the neighborhood. She was respected throughout the community. What would happen is that because she worked at some of the schools in the neighborhood, the children did know her. The students knew her. And when she walked down the street, she didn't really care who you belonged to. If you were doing something that was not appropriate, she would correct you right there on the spot. She would correct you right there on the spot. And when we were growing up, we would just talk about, Mom, no, please don't embarrass us. Please don't embarrass us. She said, I don't care about embarrassing you. I have raised you to be young women and young ladies, and I want you to act appropriately. And that's what we have done, tried to do. Well, most of us have tried to do that. But I miss her terribly. I miss her terribly. She was a joy in my life. And as she as she got older and started to get sick, I just knew it was my responsibility and her other children daughters responsibility to take care of her. And that's exactly what we did. My mom, I would say, I became the first time I had the opportunity to become a caregiver was with my mom. I became her caregiver, and we worked together, and what we did is we pulled the whole family together and gave everybody something to do, gave everybody a job. And even though my baby sister was in Texas, because she had the because she did have the knowledge as far as medicine and everything is concerned. Then any of the meds that my mother was taking, we would give them, give her the Jacqueline the name, and she would look them up. She said, yeah, she can take that, but let's ask the doctor in a couple of months if she needs to stay on certain things. And so that would be what would happen. And we were just monitoring her. And so I really, really, that was my first opportunity to become a caregiver. And I cherished that time because as she was failing in health, she knew she could depend on her daughters to take care of her. As she was failing in health, she knew she could depend on her daughters to take care of her. We sort of knew that things were not good when she went into her 80s. And one particular thing that I remember more than anything else, like I mentioned earlier, my mother was very articulate, and she would speak at churches and be Women's Day speakers, and just you name it, she did it. She did it. Every time she stood up, there was an authoritative voice that she had. She would speak bold, and she would, no pausing or anything, no It was straightforward, straightforward. And when I noticed that she could not articulate or speak the way she was speaking, had been speaking before, I knew something was wrong. But even though she could not talk, there was a look that Rosalie Jones could give you to make you immediately straighten up. She did not have the voice, but she had the look. She would give you that look out the corner of her eye, and oh my God, talking about, okay, Ma, I do understand. I do understand. So even though her health was feeble, she was still in charge. She still had the authority. She still had the authority. She did so many things for herself after retiring from the Board of Education. She would take yoga classes. She would go and get massages, and she traveled. She did a lot of traveling. She did retreats, and she went over to Europe a couple of times. So she had a full life. She had a full life. She had an exciting life. And because of that, when we were given the opportunity to take care of her, we did it with joy. We did it with joy because we knew that she had given so much of herself that now it was the time for us to give much more to her. Her siblings, longevity seems to be running in her family because at this time, after taking care of my mom, I was then basically recruited to take care of my aunt and my uncle. So her two siblings, Carrie, who is 94 years old, and her baby sister, Grace, who is 88 years old, are still here with us. And they still tell us stories about how they grew up and how they used to swing on the chandeliers in the house and so forth, and talk about my grandpa or my popo. And we just, all of this comes to mind that basically, as individuals, you need to cherish family. You need to cherish family, especially your seniors. I believe now that these seniors have been left on this earth, reaching the ages of in their 80s, in their 90s, in their hundreds, to teach us lessons, to teach us lessons. And we need to just find the opportunity to sit down with them and just learn some things. You'll be surprised the moral values they instill in us because they came through when things were so hard, but they survived. They survived. And if they survive, they're telling you and teaching us how we can survive. And so, we as individuals, no matter what age you are at this particular time, and teachers, especially you, if you have the opportunity to sit under a senior citizen, go to the senior citizen facilities and homes and things like that. If you have the opportunity to become a grandchild, a pretend grandchild for a senior citizen, you will be surprised how much joy that brings them, because there are a lot of seniors that are out there that do not have anybody. And so we just have to really celebrate them and cherish them for as long as we can. As long as we can. When my mother passed away, I, as her daughter, had no regrets. No regrets. I felt that she was very proud of me. I felt that she was very proud of her other daughters, and she had a full life, and we were able to help her through that full life, which made me feel good about me and who I was and what I was able to do. And this is Women's History Month. I'm celebrating my mother, Rosie Lee Warren Jones. Ma, love you much. Rest in peace. Have a great evening. Bye bye.